2003's Spider-Man the New Animated Series was trying to be a more adult and mature look into Spider-Man in cartoons. Riding the coattails of 2002's Spider-Man movie being such a great success, MTV went out of their way to acquire the rights to have a Spider-Man TV show. And in the process, we got one of the more mature looks at Spider-Man in animation. And while it only lasted one season, I think it was a great show with a lot of value, specifically in showing Spider-Man in college, something we don't see a lot of, whether it was him hanging out with Harry and MJ in college and dealing with the problems that come with Spider-Man being in college, like not being able to go to parties like he wants to.
Every time anyone anywhere asks you to do anything, you're like unavailable.
Not always.
Okay. Hey, Pete, there's a party tonight at the Sigmas. Want to come?
I gotta study.
But the show also does a really good job at looking at what it's like to be in college for the other people around Spider-Man, and specifically that bullying doesn't really just disappear when you leave high school. And while Spider-Man may have been able to avoid his bullying transferring from high school to college, a lot of people can't, and a lot of people tend to fall into this trap of trying to fit in with others, even if it means they are going to get bullied by them. Case in point of this episode is Max Dillon. He was bullied in high school and he desperately wants to be cool and popular in college, and he has that fact used against him a lot in this episode, especially considering he almost died at the beginning of this episode because his so-called friends were trying to initiate him into being in the Alpha Sigma dorm or whatever frat. Now, Spider-Man thankfully was able to save his life, but the jerks who put him in that car don't even have any remorse for the fact that they almost killed this man. And to make it even worse, he goes back to them and basically begs to be in the Alpha Sigma whatever dorm. He essentially is letting himself get bullied so he has the prospect of getting in, even when he was almost nearly killed by these people. And Peter, knowing Max from high school, at least tries to warn him about this. But Max shrugs Peter off and decides to go to the party anyways, believing he was going to be inducted into this frat. But unfortunately for Max and for a lot of people, this doesn't really end the way he thought it was going to. Instead, this is just another gigantic hazing ritual put on by these assholes who go around places and can't help but bully others. But this episode doesn't exactly pull its punches when it is tackling this issue like many other children's TV shows would. They would usually show the kid getting paintballed or attacked, and then they would have some sort of sit-down conversation where the adults would tell them that it's bad and that's wrong. But that doesn't happen in this episode.
Max, what's wrong? Are you okay?
I hope you all rot and die.
Max, because of his bullying, wants revenge. He wants to hurt the people that hurt him. And so the second he gets the chance and the abilities to hurt the people that hurt him, he takes it in full effect. This episode is supposed to be a cautionary tale of what happens when not only you let yourself be consumed by the bullying that is around you, but that you also decide to act on the same urges that caused the problem in the first place. I'm not saying to sit by and let yourself be bullied, but I'm also not saying to ignore the people around you and to harm others in the pursuit of getting back at your bullies. And that's something Max let go to his head. He got these powers and not only hurt the bully he was going after, but hurt the people around him too who genuinely cared about him, that being MJ and that nice blonde girl that he was talking to. And in his pursuit of getting revenge, Max ends up killing somebody. Max quite literally kills this kid in college. And so of course Spider-Man shows up on the scene and does his usual quips and jokes and is trying to defuse the situation before he realizes that this is Max Dillon. But by this point, Max is too far gone. He sees everyone as his bully. He sees everyone is against him. And it's sort of like a realization that a lot of people who end up being bullied enact that same trauma onto other people when they get older and later in life, simply because they have the power to do so now. They start to see other people as their abusers, essentially, because that's what bullying is, it's abuse. And when Spider-Man finally does take down Max, it's not in some happy, cathartic way. It is disgusting, it is visceral, and this imagery really stuck with me as a child. And even when Spider-Man seemingly won, he's sort of lost. You see, Spider-Man isn't viewed by the police as a hero yet, he's viewed as a vigilante. And even when Spider-Man fights on the side of good, he doesn't exactly feel like he's doing what's right. The man who was just bullied into becoming essentially a school shooter. That's what this analogy was. And Peter had to, in his mind, put him down for killing another person. Peter does not feel happy about this. The ending to this episode is extremely bittersweet. It ends with them at the grave of Douglas, the man who was bullying Dylan. And the question is raised that did he deserve to die even though he was such a terrible person to Max? Does what he did warrant not only his death, but the death of Max and the injury of many others? And when Peter's friends ask him to leave, he decides to stay there and to think. And I think the ending monologue of this episode is really powerful, especially when you listen to it from Spider-Man's point of view. He sees both sides, and I think that's something this episode did a pretty good job of showing, is that there isn't just one side to this conflict, that maybe there are multiple, and maybe killing someone isn't the answer to this.
Ever wonder what my life is like? It's like this. Choosing the side of good doesn't necessarily make you a hero. Not with everyone. On the other hand, there are worse fates. I just hope wherever Max is, he's finally found some peace.
I feel like this episode was a really good look into sort of the school shooting episodes that were really taking hold in animation and TV shows for superheroes at the time. We had Static Shock's TV show episode about this as another prominent one. This one takes it in a more fantastical direction, but I think overall it's a really good way of looking at it. It's not just looking at it from the basis that the bullied kid did what was right. It's also not looking from the fact that maybe the bully did it right either. Obviously he didn't, but the response elicited isn't correct. All that really is shown from this episode is that sometimes you need to reach out and get real help from somebody else. And if you are being bullied, please go seek help from someone else. And if nobody else is out there to help you, please seek it from your peers. Please do not lash out in a way in which you will not only hurt yourself, but you will hurt those around you. That's when this becomes dangerous. And I think that's what this episode was trying to show. Because Max Dillon had friends he could have gone to, but he got so wrapped up in trying to be the popular kid, in trying to make himself so popular with everyone else, he was neglecting his actual friendships and brushing them off to the side, which ended up leading him down the path he took. Then again, what do I know? I'm just sitting in my room making videos. Thank you all for watching.